Do you know the story of Madeline O'Malley? She was the woman that died here in the hotel. She hung herself after her fiancé stood her up on their wedding day. And ever since then, people have reported seeing the ghost of Madeline O'Malley roaming the hallways waiting for her lover. Some say she's even looking to take up a new one.
It's really fun to read this whole history of this, with House of the Dead and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how would you compare like the two experiences, I guess, like with both, and not only living but also shooting in there as well? Was it kind of ratcheted up a bit, or?
Yeah, I mean, this experience was, the House of the Devil, everything that could go wrong went wrong at all times. It was like we almost got struck by lightning. Like it was like divine interventionally disasterful. This movie just kind of went off without a hitch, which is a miracle, which means my next movie I'm screwed. But, you know, it's funny to go back to a place where you lived making a movie and then to go back there and make a movie about that place is a very surreal experience, and it made it an oddly personal film for a genre movie. That's odd. But it's a kooky place, and it definitely gets into everybody's head.
Nice. So, like, one of the things I really loved about the movie was your performance there. I mean, it was just so awesome how you kind of embraced this kind of dorky, quirky character. It was just a lot of fun. Like, what kind of things did you, I mean, aside from like just the overall look, like what kind of things did you kind of do to kind of embrace this?
This character is the closest that I've ever played to myself. So Claire's just like a part of my personality that I sort of just turned up the volume on a lot. And then at certain times, Ty would be like, go more with it. You know, we had like this term, go more Costanza, like George. So when he said go more Costanza, we do takes where I was like going a little more like dorky-ish. So yeah, it didn't really take a lot to get into character. I just kind of like walked downstairs every day and did my thing.
Nice. So you talk about working with Pat and just, I mean, I love the kind of chemistry you guys both had. So you talk about just kind of meeting him and kind of getting into the group with him.
Well, people keep asking if we had like this long rehearsal time, and we didn't. I literally just flew in on a Saturday, and we started filming on like a Sunday morning. So I had met Pat just for like a few hours the night before. But, you know, before I started making the movie, Ty had stressed how awesome everyone was and how much fun everyone was and that they were just really great people. And I didn't like really believe him because it's really rare that like every single person in the crew is just really amazing and like pleasant to be around. And so I think that's, you know, Pat and I luckily just really got along really well right from the get-go.
I mean, was it always kind of like when you had this in your mind, were you always kind of envisioning like actually having the whole thing like living and working in there like at once, or was like that just
kind of, yeah. I mean, I wrote the movie about our time at the Peddler, and the only place that made sense to shoot it was the Peddler. And then I got panicked that I wrote myself into a corner that if they say no, this movie's it's done. We can never make it. But they thankfully said yes. And talking with Pete, the producer, and producing it myself, we're like, well, we'll just stay there, and then there'll be no loading, no load out, and it did technically make it really, I mean, we went a little crazy, because you just never left the hotel. We worked there, slept there, ate there. I mean, there's nothing else to do in the town, so it's drank there. I mean, it just is what it is. But it did, I think, help the sort of camp-like vibe of it all. I don't know if I want to do it again, but it made this a really unique, memorable experience.
I mean, that was one of the interesting things I read, that you actually covered up the bar, and like I was trying to think like if that, like how the Peddler would look. Like to me, like it had this really weird, homey, rustic feel, but I think it was probably the right decision to kind of eliminate the bar. So can you talk about like your decision process behind that?
Have you been to the Peddler?
I have not.
Okay, because it sounded like you'd.
No.
I forgot about that.
There is a bar restaurant that's connected to it, and we did block off that you would know it was there. Which was one was good, it kept the crew from getting a little out of control. But also, you know, because in the movie it's going out of business and it's down to the last two employees, to have the bar restaurant open was the best, and to have it, I thought about having it closed and having them do things there, but it felt like a tangent that wasn't necessarily needed. We certainly spent a lot of time in the bar, you know, when we weren't shooting. But yeah, but if you walked into the Peddler today, like anyone that went to Torrington, Connecticut, you could go there right now and you'd feel like you just walked into the movie. Even though we changed a lot, you would never see what we changed because it was so subtle. So if you walked in, you'd be like, whoa. I mean, they're even sitting at the front desk wearing the same outfits. I mean, it's be surreal.
And I heard that you have the deer head as a souvenir.
I do. I have the deer head. I have a shirt as a souvenir.
So
I have a couple
jealous.
other little tchotchke props.
I love that deer head.
You gotta be quick.
Nice.
Under a blanket of blue, just you and I beneath the stars, in the arms of sweet romance, the night is bright, blanket of blue.